Hey, y'all. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Khadijah Toto, and you are listening to In Trance, the podcast where we are the deliberate creators of our own realities, united in light during the darkest hour. We foster spaces of love, acceptance, and truth because we know we are one people living through different simulations. We define and choose to be our own truths while living in a co-created environment within multidimensional realities. With that being said, we're just curious to see how others live their life as inspiration to have a better understanding and knowledge of ourselves so we may live the same kind of way and believe in ourselves the same way the people we bring on here. Everything I'm going to say, you already know, and you don't have to agree or disagree. It's not about that on Entrance You. What it's about is actively listening to one another and hearing the experiences of one another. And without further ado, I'm so excited to introduce you to our beloved guest called Tia Miss Konnoisseur Hamilton. She is Miss Everything. She's a mother, she's an entrepreneur, she's a CEO, producer, journalist, publisher, prison youth community advocate, motivational speaker, bondswoman, bail aid. The list goes on. I had to ask her backstage what she didn't do, what hasn't she done. And it's been absolutely amazing just even doing research on her. She used to have a sports radio talk show on Facebook in 2012, and that blew up. Everything she touches just turns to gold. And her story is one that is so important to the community, is so important to understand what's really happening in these prisons. And she's also the CEO of State versus Us. So make sure you get your copies of this and the owner of Urban Reads Bookstore. So without further ado, I'm going to bring a Miss Connoisseur on here. Hey, Tia, how are you?
What's goody? What's goody, family? How you?
I'm good. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to have you on here because what you do in here is so important, to the community. And what prompted this was when I was in an interview, not when I was in an interview, I was watching one of your interviews, and you said, the more that I do this work, the more I hate these motherfuckers. Quote. And I said, oh, I need to understand what's going on. Where did that, like, even just starting there, where did that statement like come from and derive from?
Um, it's geared towards white people, white America. Um, and if I didn't have dope white friends in my life already, I would absolutely hate white people. Um, it just comes from the stuff that I see, what they do, to not just gunning us down on the street, but being that I'm into this prison work, the blatant fuckery, the blatant things that they do to men and women every day, whether it comes down to the healthcare, the treatment of them. Like you got grown men talking to other grown men like they not men.
Mm-hmm.
It's a problem. And that's how they devalue the man, right? That's how they devalue the black man. Because let's be clear, it's more of us than them inside these walls. So 9 times out of 10, they talking to us in a
Mm-hmm.
disrespectful way. Then you got other black men and sisters degrading, doing the same thing as what they master doing. Because guess what? They taught us all evil. They taught us these things. And they may not be ready for that conversation yet, but the shit is facts. But that's what it's geared towards.
And I like the raw honesty, and I love the fact that, like, and it's very clear. You know what I mean? And I always look at it and I say the same thing, is like, thank God that my first impression of, white people aren't this image, because
Right.
like, how can you, and especially knowing and doing the research and reading, like just reading a book or even watching a documentary, will have you feeling some type of way. What was your experiences in the G wall? Can you explain to everybody what a G wall is and why they call it that?
Okay, and before I do that, children are not born to hate. That's a
Mm-hmm.
learned behavior, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we could find a bunch of Spanish kids, black kids, white kids, Nigerian children, or whatever, running around on the playground together and will love on each other, hug on each other, want to share everything with each other. And then they get around their pesky parents. And that's where the divide comes in, right?
Mm-hmm.
White kids getting taught how to shoot as soon as they're able to walk, but get mad when they find out that black people are doing the same thing with their children. Um, and it's the problem with that. When you have, it's a quote in the Bible: "Raise your child the way, then the path you want them to go, and they shall follow." Right? And that's exactly what happens with racism and white supremacy. They make sure they keep this in the books and the records in every household, regardless if you poor or not. Because even when you poor, as a white person, you think you supreme, you high above. So that's not it. That's not it. It's the fact that they making sure that they keep their white supremacy alive by teaching it to their babies, and then they grow up thinking that, oh, if I got a black friend, I don't hate black people. You just like that black friend, but you don't like the rest of us. White women, I got a black son. No, you like that black dick. You don't like us. You know what I'm saying? So I've seen it, how so many videos of these white women, you can see the demon come right through them. And you talk about I got black friends. No black person in their right mind is gonna let you use the N-word around them.
Yeah.
My white friends know better. We don't
Right.
play that game. You know what I'm saying? You don't get a pass for that around me. Even my dope white friends don't like the word. They get mad if I use it. You know what I mean? So we gotta understand that we are really living in two Americas. And that's how we are living, regardless or not. My white counterpart, my friend, is going to get more privilege than my black ass will. In corporate, get loans, whatever. It's already been proven. Now, G-Wall means gangster behind the wall. You got to be a gangster living behind that. Going through the shit you go through, the disrespect, especially in COVID. They only out an hour a day. Then you got 1 hour to get on the phone, fix your food, and then get on take a shower. In 1 hour. In 1 hour. That's disrespectful. They don't even get the chance to use the libraries. I got a phone call from Hagerstown, one of the jails in Hagerstown. They finally giving them the library for 15 minutes, 1 month, one time a month. By the time they get to the page they need, the 15 minutes is over. So it's disrespectful. And then they want you not to have an attitude behind this. They want you to be respectful to them behind this. They want you to hold your head up high and accept the BS that's given to you. When you telling me that I only got 15 minutes to open up a book that's going to help me come home. Make the shit make sense. Who wouldn't be frustrated, ready to slap somebody over that? So it's just a lot that we got to process with that.
Wow. And that's, whew, and 15 minutes. So they're not allowed to even take the books to their cells with them.
No. If it belongs to the library, and I guess not right now, they can't. No, they only giving them 15 minutes in the library.
Wow. What, so what happens behind the walls in your experience when you were in there and you had to be the gangster behind the wall? What did that gangster look like? How tough did you have to be? How did you stand and be rooted in your own?
It's just according to your environment, right? See, my situations, I may go through a lot of situations, but my situations is really not your situations. So, everybody can't handle situations like I can handle it or you can handle it. But it was a lot of weakness. They go after the weak, right? Um, and then they use the weak to help them. Just like the streets, it's nothing different. You just got bars around you and people over your head 24/7. But it's just like the streets when you dealing with how street codes are and how the effery that goes on in the streets. Um, Police could use that person, they become their informant. So they put them around you and they tell everything. Same thing in there. I done got caught with the wine. How they know about that? Every major organization got taken down from within. So if I'm in that dorm with 30, 40, 50 other women, I got taken down from one of these bums in here because they don't know nothing about this. Same thing, 9 times out of 10, everything that happened in the streets come from somebody telling, right? So, but they tell them because they are in need of something from the person that sent them. And that's how it worked. You got them not even paying attention to the sick and shut in, the elderly. I just got a phone call probably like a month ago from a federal prison in a female federal prison in Alabama. A 70-year-old lady passed out. They not helping her. They left her sitting there for 4 hours to send her down to medical, give her a pill, and send her back. Y'all didn't run no tests. You didn't take her to the ER. You don't know why she passed out. You just gonna think an ibuprofen and a slip back to her cell is gonna fix her. They don't care. You got a bunch of low self-esteem women being nurses in these facilities, not taking care of the black man like they supposed to, that they getting paid to do. They doing the opposite. And watching men and women die on their watch, and they know it, and they don't care because they getting a paycheck at the end of the day. When the state pays you, why would you help the slave of the state? That's my slave. But in hindsight, they my slave. They your slave. Because we pay for that. But we ain't ready for that conversation either. That's how deep it go. This government is our slave. But we not ready to make them see that. And they make us pay taxes for every day. Since when the slave get money?
That's real. Yeah. Wow. I've never heard, besides the stories in your magazine, like I've never heard, it seems like when people come out of prison, they seem so withdrawn. And it's hard to even get their stories, and even getting their stories is hard to acclimate back into normal life.
Right.
I haven't been in the G Wall, but I did live in a different country for 5 years, and coming back was hard because I was like, what is this? You have to learn the system, technology changed, all these things changed. So how is it for them even like coming back home? Are there assisted programs because they're on parole? How do they get a job with like the kind of records that they get? Is there assistance in that? Or what does that look like?
Yeah, so it's a bunch of assistance and resources, right? But we have to learn what they are. It's no reason that Baltimore City doesn't look like Montgomery County. No reason. Except for that's where all the majority of the black people are. So why would we want them to look like us? In their mind, they're telling people we don't know how to take care of shit. We ain't shit. We don't know how to be anything. We don't know how to go after and get it. Meanwhile, while they telling us, well, there's resources, there's resources. But if you're not providing them resources, how the hell am I supposed to know? And if I'm asking you for resources and you don't provide me with them, how am I supposed to move forward? But you want me to come home and pay parole and probation fees and you not help me get a job so I can do that. And if I don't do that, you're going to send me back to jail for 15, 20, 25 years because I couldn't afford to pay you. Make it make sense. You send me home with a check. I ain't got a birth certificate, a social security card, an ID the first. I can't get the ID without the social security and birth certificate. And I can't get the birth certificate without the ID and the social security card without the ID. And guess what? I can't even cash my check without the ID. So you sending people home already in a frenzy. You coming from jail or prison, you are traumatized, whether you know it or not. And then when you get in situations like that, when you've been gone so long and you can't do something as simple as cash your check so you could go to Walmart and get some underwear and deodorant, I'm triggered, right? Nobody around me can help me. I've been gone so long, my mother dead, my grandmother dead, my father dead, my aunt dead. My daughter, I don't know where she at. I come home thinking I'm going to that same hood that I left, but it's a big bank sitting on that property. And other nice buildings that I don't even recognize where I'm from. I see a bunch of white people walking on the path that my grandmother's house lived on, looking at me like I don't belong. Then I kill myself because I'm so institutionalized, I can't snap out of it, but I'm traumatized in real life because I don't know how to adjust, right? But prison is supposed to be rehabilitation. They don't rehab shit, but they enforcement of their rules. That's the only thing they rehabbing. They rehabbing trauma. So we're not even forcing them as a community to do right because the law and the Constitution states they must provide them with adequate utensils and the things they need to survive in prison. Healthcare, all of that shit. But yet we don't force that as a community and a union to force these people to act right. Because society said that's what the fuck happens in prison. That's who are we to tell them otherwise? Because if you go to prison, that's what you get. You did it. You deserve to be there. Not even looking at a case by case situation that everybody don't fucking belong in prison. And it's more wrongful people in there that's been convicted than actual people who did it. So we don't even go that far and looking into deep shit like that. Well, what did John do? What did Troy do? What did Timothy do? Before we just let somebody tell us, well, that's what happened. That's why I don't like all this shit going on with the Me Too movement. Women popping up just to say, boom, Bill Cosby did it. R. Kelly did it. Whoever did it. With no proof, though. In no way am I saying that it's okay to do that, right? What I'm saying is provide that proof. If you're going to tell me that Bill Cosby did something 40 years ago, and this is the time you think you should speak, I need you to show me how that happened. If you want to tell me that Deshaun Watson in December of 2020 raped you, sexual assaulted you, you cannot, not only are you not providing me that it happened, you also telling me that you don't want him to go to jail and it happened less than a year ago, but you want him to give you some money because you've been traumatized. And we got black people like, yeah, fire him, get him off the team because that's what that white girl said. And then they go get a few black girls, all for a paycheck, to ruin his career because he don't want to be on that team no more. Like, when are we going to start researching, right? When are we going to start looking at shit for what it is? And that's people creating fake opportunities to railroad our fucking people. When the fuck are we going to start waking up and doing the right thing? So yeah. It's a problem.
Yeah, because people, I don't even think it's within people's awareness to even know in the first place. Like it wasn't until, I'm telling you, it's such a blessing to have been recommended to go to Urban Reads Bookstore, because I'm in Virginia, I'm in Fairfax County, Virginia, you know, and so for me, it just even stepping out is a totally different world, and just even like looking around and talking, and I it just I realized there were so many things that I was ignorant about, and I had to admit to myself, like, just because this isn't the reality that, and I call myself out all the time, like my old self and way of thinking, because my old self and way of thinking was like, you're the creator of your own reality, create something new. Like what, why, it doesn't have to be like that. Like,
Right.
stop thinking it, stop being it, stop vibrating to that, and it won't happen. But then when I walked in the streets of like Baltimore, I was like, where do you begin to create? Like, yeah, you can fix the mind, but we all know that environment takes huge precedence over the environment, which I feel so honored to talk to you, because I want to know, what is that environment like? What's the environment like where Troy and our brother Daquan and our brother Tyrone, what's the environment that they're getting caught up in the first place? And why is it like that?
Well, you got a lot of people that's caught up. They ain't got to be caught up in anything to have this happen to them. We
Mm,
see it every day. Ahmaud Arbery wasn't caught up in anything before he got killed. Um, Dante Wright wasn't caught up in anything before he got killed. You got George Floyd. He wasn't caught. He just went to the store. Mike Brown, Trayvon Martin was walking home. And all majority of the environments are what they are, right? But
mhm.
when we dealing with people who've been bullied as a kid and raised in a mindset of, okay, so when you got people that was raised different, you got police departments. Let's take Baltimore. They got cops all through Baltimore that don't even live in Baltimore City. They live in surrounding counties, and maybe PA and DC, and maybe Virginia, the northern part. How can you tell them to police a community they don't live in? So how are you able to understand what that community and that trauma of that community and what these people are suffering? You're going to be able to tell me you understand that, and you live in fucking PA. You living with big houses. You got a nice little wolf dog. You got a pool in your backyard, and you coming in the hood where they share backyards. If they even got a backyard, they front porch is the sidewalk. They houses are attached, not detached. And the majority of them on Section 8 getting food stamps. And you gonna tell me that you understand they living conditions when you live in PA with the detached house, the big dog,
Come on.
and your yard is 5 acres. I don't want to hear that shit.
Yeah.
Your lifestyle is not mine.
Hmm.
Your America is not mine.
Hmm.
Your daughter in private school because you can afford it. My daughter in public school because I can't afford it. And maybe I can, but I don't have a vehicle to get her to private school. I'm on the bus, and to get from my house to that private school in the county, I can't afford or have a bus route to get her there. I'm changing the address to someone that's I know that live at this school because that's the best school for my child. Then I get arrested for that. Sentenced to 6 years and 12 years. But we got white people, rich white people, who had a whole college scandal and got 6 months, 3 months, if that. But this poor black woman got 12 years for changing her address. She ain't steal no fucking money. She didn't teach her children to be fucking little liars. She didn't train that child to be a little liar and pretend to be an athlete when they not. She just wanted to change her address so her baby can have a better opportunity. She gets 6 years for that. So we have a problem.
Yeah. And especially when you bring up those kind of, lawyers, I feel like their favorite word is comparators.
Yeah.
And having those kind of comparators, there's no there you can pretend what it is for so long until a point of not. Like I remember I took a college course and we actually went to school and we went to Richmond City Prison. And inside and out my little suburban self, I was like, oh, they're in here because, like they did something wrong and whatever. This probably, I was judgmental. I'll admit it. I can admit my flaws, my old ways. I was like, they're probably like, they don't be reading, they don't none. We got in that class, sharpest group of men I had ever sat amongst in my entire life. And so then we weren't allowed to ask them about their cases, but I asked them, I was like, I don't understand. Like, you're so intelligent. You're so, like, kind. You're so, like, what? How did you get here? And he was like, my baby needed milk and food. They weren't hiring me. They weren't hiring me. So I had two options. Either I could sell on the block or I could steal. And selling on the block sounded a lot better than stealing. And I was just like, what do you do? And that's not people who haven't experienced that, that's not something that is even necessarily having to be worried about. And that's why I really appreciate your presence and everything that you've said, because I asked you before this interview to paint the picture, and I really appreciate you for painting the picture, because it's always, oh, this is an excuse. It's an excuse not to be, not to believe in yourself, or not to have a certain mindset, or not to, but it's like, no, there's a reality that exists that's like this. And if a system, it's one thing, you can believe in yourself all day. But if you're walking down the street, jogging, anything you do, and you can get attacked, and like even what you said with the police, if you're policing a community that's not your community, it doesn't make sense. And like I remember applying for Teach for America when I was in university. And I was so upset that all of my white counterparts got it and I didn't. And I was like, why are these teachers going into my neighborhoods? The kids need to see me. The kids need to be meeting me. I'm part of that community. Why is Chelsea getting to go over into the hood? I need to be in the hood. And like teaching is a whole different thing, because if you can't pass those standardized tests either, you're screwed. From you can be the best teacher in the world and not be able to pass the test because it's still part of the whole system. So like even for I want to talk about the children a little bit, and like what you do with the youth. How do you, like, what are some things that maybe you tell the youth to, because sometimes I feel like the the gangster life is, I know that real gangsters do it because they have to do it. They not necessarily that they even want to do that. At least the ones that I met, they're like, it is like it is what it is. You know what I mean? Whereas you come here and they pretend to be it, and it's glorified like it's some type of sport.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, how do you keep the youth off of the streets?
Well, in order to help anybody, you gotta first listen, right? And that goes to with our babies too, man. We spend too much time thinking we know more than them, and we stupid. These babies are the future. They are the ones that's gonna change the world. So we have too many people telling them to shut up, telling them to talk. Let them get that shit out by any way they can. 1 second, I gotta.
Amen.
I'm a little uncomfortable because of my leg. Um, we got to do more of listening instead of telling them that they don't know what they talk about. Because if you think about it, these babies got a lot of sense and they make a lot of sense. So we have to listen to them and listen to them good. You don't ever want somebody listening to you and think that's the only part they're supposed to be listening to. You should be able to hear another side as well before you could dissect a situation. I let these babies know, like, yo, I'm here. I don't know about the rest of these people, but you could call my phone anytime. I got children, teenagers around me all the time. They love me because I know who they are. I never lost sight of childhood and being a teenager and knowing what to feel like at that time. I never lost sight of that. Who am I to tell them not to have sex? My job is to give them sex education. You can't fucking stop the inevitable. You know what I'm saying? I'm here to teach them the best way to have that sex while enjoying yourself. You know what I mean? I'm not about to tell no teenager who hot and ready to go not to do that. That's not how this works. So I'm going to make sure they get the sex education and things they need, like condoms and understanding. These are the consequences if you don't use protection, if you don't maneuver like you should. So when I take my teenagers out, my son, his best friend, my godchildren, we talks about sex because I need to know they doing the right things. I'm not about to be no grandmother until I'm 75. It's not happening. My son knows you're not to start reproducing until you're 50, buddy. I'm not here to play them type of games. I even know how people glorify 13, 14, 15, 16-year-olds having babies, and even up to 18, and they haven't secured who they are first. And you want me to believe that it's okay that they secure who that they're going to secure who that baby is, and they haven't even secured themselves. And that's a problem. I'm a product of that. And that's a problem for me. When people are pushing people to be something and bigging them up to be something that we all know they're not ready for. Why would I send you to go speak on my behalf? And I know damn well you don't like public speaking.
Right.
But I'm going to put you out there to go speak. Come on, yo. Like, we got to do better at thinking, right? And understanding how people move. And the crazy part about this is that we are scared of children. I wish I would be scared of your child or anybody's child. Children want to be taught, but they only going to respect the teacher if the teacher is respectable.
Yep.
If that child saw something that happened with their parent and they think it should have went checked, but it went unchecked, they're going to uncheck you. 9 times out of 10, you're going to get unchecked by your child. Children don't disrespect me. When my nephew's mother, before they got over 18, and she used to be like, well, they over here disrespecting me. But when they hear everything that they tell me happens in their home, never happen. I never get to see what they talking about. If I go to their home, I never get to see what they talking about because they don't want to see me. And it don't have nothing to do with fear. It got everything to do with respect. My son and I like this. That's respect. Because we can laugh and joke, but he know when not to play. So we could blame society and this government for that, right? When they start locking parents up for being a parent. Getting parents into parenting. I'm going to whoop your ass. That's just that simple. You can say what you want to say, or you're going to raise this child. But it's a difference from chastising and abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And abuse is what a lot of these babies suffered because of COVID, being home with their reckless endangerment ass parents. because parents want the system to raise their children. In hindsight, if you sending your child to school and you're not teaching them at home where that shit's supposed to start at, and you sending them to school to learn, you are preparing them for prison. Period. That school to prison pipeline is deep. Foster care to prison pipeline is deep. Military prison pipeline is deep.
Wow.
So when you are sending them without teaching them and giving them away to someone else to have taught, you are preparing them for prison. And you don't even know it. A lot of the guys that I interviewed all got family issues, mommy issues. That's why a lot of men can't respect us black women, because they hate their mother. They hate their mother. And when you hate your mother and you see the disrespect your father may have gave your mother, or some dude that she was dating gave your mother, you think that's okay. And that's how women supposed to be spoken to and treated. So then when you come up against a chick like me, you hiding because you don't know what to do, because that's not allowed over here. But we got a lot of women that's allowing it, raising these men, providing them with money, and we not married. Allowing them to come and go with your car and your bank card as they see fit.
Come on now.
That's not how this works. As a man, you're supposed to be providing, nurturing, and providing your queen in your household. But it's okay for me to sleep with you and give you some ass, and you not providing me with nothing but a headache. And we're raising our men like that. We are toxic. We are toxic. And that's why these black men are 9 times out of 10 are hating the black woman, because they toxic ass mother or grandmother. Protecting their son. That is your son, not your husband. That man needs to be a man. It's a difference. You should not be trying to tell your son out anything outside of how to treat a woman, but because you wasn't treated properly, you really don't know how this works. And it's just a system of repeated bullshit. I wish I would see my son disrespect a female. He ain't crazy though, because he come from somebody that's going to have these type of conversations with him. Them generational cycles, exactly. They just repeat itself, but not here. I'm first generation. First of all, I'm first generation business owner, and I'm first generation business owner that's teaching generational wealth, right? So I got my son and my little brother. They run my store. My bookstore ran by them because I'm teaching them how to supervise, how to manage, how to count inventory, how to do this, how to speak to people, customer service, and how to get to the bag. Mm-hmm. Stock market. They all got a stock account. See, black communities and families, we wasn't raised like that, right? We was raised to go to school, get in debt, work for the white man, and pay his ass off for the rest of our life. We wasn't raised on how to get our own and get to the bag like these white people raised theirs. And these other countries, these Arabs and these Pakistanis and these Indians, you go to their establishments, you see their kids. They homeschooling, and you see their babies. Showing them what it's like to make $5 off of $1. So we got to do that too. So yes, in my store, I give all of that. Financial literacy for the babies. I'm about to do a literacy camp that's going to teach these babies how to read. Because America on the 7th to 8th grade reading level. How does Tia and Urban Reads Bookstore combat that? Because it's definitely lower in the black community. So for my black babies, that's what I'm going to do for them. And their parents are welcome, because they don't know how to read either.
That's so real. Yeah, they don't know how to read. Then they can't even teach what they don't know. And then it's going on and on and on and on and on. And it's like, you hear, do the work, do the work, do the work. And it's like, oh, okay, I'll do the work. I'm volunteering here. But it's like, are we volunteering where we should be though?
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's one thing that really that's like when I tell you I think your story changed my life. I don't think like you understand like just even reading. I think I sat there with your dad for like an hour before you walked in, just talking to your dad, walking around the store. I probably looked like some type of stalker, and I was just walking in the store and looking and reading everything. And then I was just I think I bought like $100 worth of books
I
because I was like,
appreciate
oh,
it.
I've never read this author. I've never heard this. Oh my gosh, they're talking about this. And it was like just the fact that you have all these black authors in the store, you have handles from different kind of entrepreneurs, you have local book authors, you have the sea moss, you have the food, you're in connection with the vegan restaurant across the street or down the street. And it's just like you can see and feel the community, even if you're not from Baltimore. I'm not from Baltimore. I probably walked in looking like a journalist or something. Like I was like, I hope they don't think I'm suspect because I'm in there taking pictures, like it's a museum, but it does feel like a museum. Like I'm walking in and I'm seeing entrepreneurs having their tables set up and just like talking to. And when I went to you had an event when you had it wasn't the Authors Expo is coming up, but it was the one in December.
That was my anniversary for my 1 year anniversary of my bookstore.
I can't believe that it's 1 year old. I can't believe it's 1 year old because you have such a community around it, and it's so grounded. Like it's so grounding, just even walking in your store.
Yes.
Like I've done about 5 interviews from people that I met at your 1 year anniversary. I took business cards. I took the author of Rap Goals. I was chilling with Marquette. Me and Marquette have been like close ever since then. I
That's
was,
my God.
just like pulling different cards. I interviewed Khadijah, Callie, from Keys and Powers.
Oh yeah, okay.
I interviewed and I was like, wait a minute, I'm interviewing everybody except the goat herself. And I was like, at first I
Yo,
was
I got a sis that called me that. She keep calling me the house. I'm like, what are you talking about?
yeah, and it's amazing to see. I think I learned more about you from the people that I interviewed around you. And that was my plan because I was like, you know what? I'm learning so much about this woman. And this isn't me just boosting her ego or just saying this. I've never heard someone be so fucking real.
Yeah.
Like, for real, like the way you broke down, my mom and I talked about that in the car as soon as we got in the car. My mom was like, damn, she broke that shit down in 5 seconds about what happens around here. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, I'm interviewing her.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how, I don't know the how, but I'm interviewing her because I have an audience that needs to hear your voice
I
from your
appreciate it.
mouth,
I
from your
appreciate it.
because you're there and you're in it. And
Right.
it's so important because you're in it. It's not, this isn't some picture that you're painting from a TV screen. This is real. Like, this is right next to you. You
And
live in this neighborhood.
you know what? And you said something earlier. You asked the question, are there any resources for returning citizens? Um, and they are. But I'm going to start my own called RTO, where we're gonna we're gonna successfully transition men and women back into society, right? And it's gonna be set up so dope that is I don't even have to tell on these other organizations. They're gonna see my system and the government gonna automatically want to know what the hell they doing over there because these places aren't right. And no one will work for my organization unless they've been formally incarcerated. I can't bring you to go work with this sister over here, and you don't know what you don't know what she been through. You never been to jail. You never spent 10 years in prison to understand the PTSD, the trauma, sexual trauma she done witnessed because it goes down in there with the women. They raping them. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't know what she's been through. So you can't adequately say, well, you can't do this, and that's a trigger for her. It's different it's a wordplay thing that you gotta understand and know. Even a social worker who been a social worker for 20 years not gonna be able to digest and snap this woman back into place because she never been through that. So we need social workers, in-house social workers that understand. And who else is to be if for it to come from people who went through it, like myself and other people that's gonna be a part of this.
Mm-hmm.
And understand the psychological problems that they go through, and I'm gonna make sure I got a temp agency too, because I'm gonna hire them. I got contracts with black owned companies that's gonna hire these men and women. I don't need them to struggle no longer. The struggle will be over once they come to my program. They deserve to have it given to them because they done had so much taken.
Mm. Now, I promised India that I wouldn't keep you longer than 45 minutes, and we are hitting the 45-minute mark. So, but what I want to say is thank you so much. I've learned so much from this interview, and I've learned. I'm just so happy and grateful to have you here, and that even in your condition, I hope that you feel better, even though you're gonna be on bed rest tomorrow.
Man, listen, I'm gonna be. I'm so mad at this boot. Oh, I'm so mad that it happened. I got things to do, child. I got traveling, and I'm trying to figure. I'm in here plotting my travel. Like, who going with me? I'm gonna be dragging India everywhere. Poor India.
She's so kind and sweet. I just want to say
She
thank you
all
for
right. She all right. Sorry, that's my girl.
everyone saying thank you in the comments. And Giselle says, what a blessing to have a beautiful soul who will do for others progression.
I appreciate that. And Zakia, she on point tonight. I don't want no smoke.
Yeah,
She
yeah. No, Zakia is always on point. We have sexy lady on here that says, thank sexy lady, my mom. I know that's her. Um,
Zakia said, pass the collection.
yeah, she did. Here you go. Yeah, she said, yeah, pass the collection playground. Let's go to you. Yeah, yeah,
Or you could
definitely.
donate. You could donate to my literacy cause because in my store, we send books to the prison for free. We donate books. We got people who donate black literature, black knowledge book, history books, and things like that, and we get them to donate to the store. So I got so many books. Now we need money to get them in the prison. So we every week we try to get 60 books out. I got over 1,000.
Where can they donate to?
They could go to my website, my bookstore website, which is our Urban Reads. That's Urban Reads with the S.com. And they can donate to the books. And you can also go in there and get a ticket and come to this expo next Saturday.
Yes, we're gonna be there. We're gonna
This
be there.
expo, I got the meet and greet at Terra Cafe on 25th of St. Paul on Friday the 28th from 7 to 10 p.m. It's a meet and greet media. That's the only time media going to be able to interview and talk to the authors and things like that. And people can take pictures and all the good stuff. We're going to come together, have a convening of ancestry feelings and vibrations. And we're going to have a good damn time. Music by DJ Twiz, my brother. And then we're going to, so the 29th is the expo. 12 to 4 at my store on right there on 30th between Greenmount and Barkley. It's a block party, food, vendors, local authors, and I got a lot of prison authors that's in my store as well. Some of their books, you can see them. Just come through and pull up and have fun with us. And then Friday, I'm about to put that on the website. Friday, it's a financial literacy workshop with Paul Mooney, one of his twin sons. Rest in peace to Paul Mooney. He just passed away this morning. But one of his twins are financial literacy people, men, and one of them is a good friend of mine, and he will be here at not only at the expo, the meet and greet, the expo, but he's teaching a financial class at my store that Sunday morning from 10 to 12. So the whole weekend is packed.
Yes, be sure to go on to her oururbanreads.com. Check out all of the events, unless you're gonna press rewind after this interview is uploaded and it's done. But once again, like, you getting the praise from the audience right now. So I just want to say thank you so much,
Thank
just
you.
in person. And this was more than what I could even pray for. So I appreciate you, Tia.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Erica. I see Erica said something. I appreciate you too, and thank you. And I thought about counseling, then I said, nah, I can't do this to her. I can't do it. I see. I know how that feel. So that's just a respect from one journalist to another. I know how that feel to get canceled on the knife in it, and that shit don't feel right. So even though I ruptured my Achilles and I'm sitting here in the big ass boot tossing and turning, I don't even know if y'all can even see it. I'm tossing and turning, but I'm tossing and turning. So, but it's all good, and it's my pleasure. Now I must go to sleep.
Yes. Now, as Tia goes to sleep, we're cutting out. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace.
Blessings and blessings to your listeners. I appreciate you.